All right, ladies, welcome back. This is another episode of the Boss Women Network Virtual Roundtable. I'm your host, Leilani. I am a real estate broker and the founder of the Boss Women Network. And before we dive into today's topic, I have a cool update. As of January 2026, the Boss Woman Network will officially be rebranding into the CEOS, which means female CEOs. So that's CEOESS. It's an evolution that reflects the high level leadership, strategy, and legacy building we're cultivating across all industries. Alongside that, I've also created something called the CEOS Experience, which is an automation framework that helps women automate their businesses using smart systems, branded assets, and AI assistants and concierge workflows. So today's discussion embodies the exact reason that this transformation matters. Our topic for today is high value women versus hot mess energy and who really wins. And this is one of those conversations that was born online, but we needed to finish it offline. It's inspired by the TikTok trend where women were openly talking about the messy girl era versus the healed girl era. So, what does it actually mean to be a high value woman today? And is there space for both softness and chaos in your story? So, before we get started and jump in, I would love for each of you to introduce yourselves, state your name, what you do, and a quick sentence that captures how you personally define what being a high value in your current season is. So, who wants to go first? I guess we can start in order then. Miss Diaz?
Yes, thank you for having me on. My name is Dana Es Diaz. I started off being an author of a memoir trilogy about my experiences with abuse and domestic violence from the time I was born until just 5 short years ago. I have been on nearly 300 podcasts worldwide. I now speak in summits and on stages, empowering women with the word no, because it's a
Mm,
very important and very powerful word that we need to use a little bit more often.
yes.
So being a high value woman to me means knowing your truth and standing in it, regardless of others, and being able to lift other people up, particularly other women, because we all had faced some kind of adversity in life. I don't care who you are, where you're from, we all go through stuff, but we all need to be there to support and lift each other out of that instead of judging and shaming and guilting and all this nastiness, especially for women in business. There's so
Yes.
much competition and nastiness. And why? There's plenty for everybody. We can all rise to the top. So why don't we help each other do that?
I love that. All right. Miss, is it Kristen?
Yes,
Uh,
Courtney Christten.
Courtney.
Yes. Hi, guys. My name is Courtney Christten. I am the owner of OM2H Creative Studios, which is located in Houston, Texas, in Edo, which is like the east side of downtown. And we do all things podcasting, all things digital marketing, courses, branding. We have an LED screen that we just got that we are letting people utilize for their courses and podcasts. So we do all things. Our motto is we let you be the talent while we do the work. So we do all of the editing, anything you can think of in that area. I am also a counselor, and I have my own podcast as well. So my podcast is Allow Yourself Grace. And so I bring on a lot of mental health professionals, CEO babes, all of the above. We interview. We right now I'm doing a wives series, and so we're talking about winning wives. So wives who are bosses and who play this alpha role, but we also still are able to maintain and balance our femininity. So that's a little bit about what I do. My perspective on being a high value woman is just being authentically who you are, being confident in what you bring to the table, and being okay with you not being able to bring everything to the table because, as Ms. Diaz mentioned, we all bring something different. And so I think becoming high value is when you're able to have access to people and women who bring other things. That's what makes you high value because if I can't get something done, then I can contact the next person to say, hey, you're good in this area. Do you think you can help me with this? And so I think that's what really makes us high value is
Right.
having access, having that network of women who can really, really just help us because we can't do everything. So that's my opinion on that. And I'm just happy to
Okay.
be here.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Miss Broadus.
Hey ladies, how you guys doing?
Hi.
I'm over to work here in my office today.
Oh,
Always
I see
working,
you over there.
always working. But yes, my name's Shasta Broadus. I'm CEO and founder of Capital Stewardship of America. I'm home of the #1 business network. I'm a personal and professional business development consultant, working with CEO and founders who want to grow, not only personally and professionally, but also grow their business as well. And so I've been doing that for the last 8 years. I also had a podcast. It was called Mind Your Business. I'm probably going to reprise that here, just educating people on what it means to mind your business because everybody talks about minding their business, but are they really minding their business? Right. And so that was pretty much the, concept for that. But I'm just here to, help business owners and professionals be their best, actually learn how to make money in the marketplace. So going from workforce to marketplace is pretty much what I talk about when working with entrepreneurs. And what I consider, being a high value woman, is just somebody who's not afraid to clap for others. Somebody who shows up and, is somebody that interacts and moves with purpose, right? So you're always good energy, you're always good vibe because you want to be there, right? You know that you're there for a reason and for a purpose. And so, when people see you, they equate that with, just a good positive vibe and a good energy, versus when some people are doing things out of, obligation and they don't want to be there, right? And they might have a different type of attitude or they might come with a different type of energy. And so just being aware of how you make other people feel and how you show up in spaces, I think would equate with that in my eyes.
Okay. Miss Patterson.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I was trying to finish up my little lunch here. So let me see myself on video here. I'm sorry.
Okay.
How you guys doing today?
Great. How are you?
Good, good. I'm Shelva Patterson, and I have a my business is Divine Life Connections. I have a different, several different roles. I do grant writing. I do a lot of business proposals. Sorry, sorry, I'm trying to digest my food at the same time. And I do business, little bit of business coaching. I work with mental wellness around that and life coaching. So I'm about to get certified in counseling. So I have a different revenue of different things that I do. And for me, what high value is just I mean, there's so many different avenues you could look at that, but high value for me is just doing the right thing, being resourceful, helpful, and always at the same time, knowing boundaries and respecting people's boundaries. So high value can come with a lot of different avenues.
Okay. Okay. So let's get into, let's start with the first question here. Does a high value woman mean being perfect, or is the definition finally evolving? What have you had to unlearn about what it means to be valuable and not just visible? Anybody want to tackle that question? Ms.
You
Diaz?
said what?
Yeah, I'm unmuted. I'm sorry. I said I'll jump in if you
Okay.
want.
Okay.
For me, because of my history and because of the premise that brought me into the spotlight, which is abuse and domestic violence, it's hard to avoid the messy part of life when it was the first 45 years of my life. But I think that it opens that door for others to understand that nobody's perfect and that we all like I said, go through stuff of some sort, because in my books, the thing that separates them from other memoirs is that I dive into it. I got real honest, not just about the things that happened to me, but about me and how I maybe, invited some of the trouble that was brought into my life. And maybe, some of it I obviously did not deserve when I was a child. An abused child does not deserve that. And I'm not saying that, but later in life, how, growing up that way sometimes led me to do self-sabotaging things or behave in certain ways. And even how I felt so abandoned and rejected that maybe I was toxic to the healthy people that I wanted to connect with. There's all these different things I could talk about, and this isn't about me, but that's all very messy, but I can't avoid it because that is my past. And I believe that our pasts make us who we are today. And who I am today, I call myself Dana 2.0. We are healed. We are successful. We are shining. We are good. But I wasn't always. And I'm not going to ever let anyone think that we're all perfect. We can do the makeup and do the lighting and wear the pretty earrings and do the stuff and look good and say, come, follow me. I will lead you to healing. I will lead you to the fountain of whatever, all the happiness you want. But it doesn't work that way. Healing, if anyone has been through it, you go through the depths of hell. You go through the muck. You go right back into the face of all that stuff that broke you so that you can rise again. So you can put all those pieces back together into something bigger and better and something that you can embrace and love. But to do any of that, you gotta be honest with yourself and with your participation and your involvement in the things that, your circumstances and things that happen. And so that's kind of where I stand on all that. And, I hope to hear, I know we have a wellness coach here, so I'd love to hear that perspective from her.
Yeah, same. So anybody who else wants to tackle that? Do we want to just stay in order? Okay, Miss Christten.
I believe that you can build a brand being messy because there's always a testament in the test. And so we want to always be transparent when we are on our journeys and when we are leading people and we're building our brand. So as we put ourselves out there, it's important to, in those moments, share and be vulnerable in those moments, especially depending on the type of brand that you have. But I do think it's important to be transparent and to take time when you need it, because sometimes we don't step away. We could keep going, keep going, keep going because I have to keep going. I have to show up. But it's important to make sure that when you're not mentally able to show up as your best self, that you take a step back. And that could be reflecting, that could be taking time to journal, taking a self-care day, because nobody teaches that. And the hustle is glorified. We see that everywhere. It's like, oh, I got to get it. I'm grinding. I'm doing all the things. But nobody's saying, hey, you have to take care of you and show the journey of taking care of you and share that. Like, hey, guys, I'm going to take a moment, but I will be back. But this is kind of what I'm going through, but I'm going to take a moment to take care of me and I'll be back, because that lets people know, like, hey, that it's okay to do that. That doesn't make me weak. That doesn't make me any less of a boss or whatever the case may be. You just have to make sure you're showing that. And I'm all about being honest and transparent. I like to be authentic. Some people take that well, some people don't. Most of people they do, but like sometimes it takes people a while and they need to step back and really, really like take time to sit with what you're telling them. And they may come back like a week or a month later, like, man, I'm really glad you shared that with me. Or, I'm so happy that I'm able to watch you and I listen to your podcast or whatever it is. I try to be transparent. Like I literally stopped my series right now in the middle of it. And I did a brief little episode because I'm like, I'm telling you guys all these things, but I'm struggling with it.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you to do these things, but I'm struggling with it. So I wanted to put out a small little episode just sharing. Like, I literally had a breakdown, y'all. Like, I
Mm,
had to
mm.
pause and be like, look, I'm gonna just share what's really going on right now. Like,
Wow.
why is there a pause here? Because your girl is going through it. So I think you can. There's beauty in the mess, and we have to celebrate everything, the wins, the losses, because I just believe that it's always preparing us for something greater.
I love that answer. Um, Ms. Patterson?
Yes, I honestly think that, first and foremost, we, should always, try to be honest with ourselves first. And because you have to have an example. So regardless of what it may look like, you could work in both, styles. It just depends because every individual is different, so some people can work well under pressure and mess, and some people will have a catastrophe and like fall apart. So it just depends on your mindset and how you feel and yourself, because everybody's self is different. So if you leave like the judgment out and just like really be honest, I mean, because honesty is everything, because when you think about it, honesty sets the foundation for other things to take place. So whether it's being transparent, whether it's keeping your tasks together, whatever that looks like for you, the most important thing is just to set the value of honesty, being honesty with yourself, and then setting the honesty for other people, because that's just only fair. If you the more honest you are, the more fair you could be when you're putting your best self out for other people. So for me, I think that's the thing, just being honest and really learning how to set a foundation. I always tell people like the most important thing is to, whatever you start, whatever it looks like, just make sure wherever you start at, make sure your foundation starts solid first. And then, because when you have a solid foundation, you might get to, the middle part, the top part, and something may crumble or fall. You got to restart that. But as long as your foundation is planted and solid, all the rest that comes with it, because you might have to redo some things in the process, or rebrand, restart, refuel,
Yeah.
reset, relax. All
For sure.
that. Yeah, you got a lot of reads, but at the end of the day, when you have that solid foundation and you're honest, like everything else, will kind of take place. So you can work in mess, or you can work in in a different level, but it just depends on the person and how you really, manage and how you set your mindset.
Mm,
So that's kind of how I feel in a nutshell.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Ms. Broadus?
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna, piggyback off of Shelva because I definitely agree with, mindset is the start of everything. Your mindset pretty much determines your mind state, right? And so when we are beginning to make those adjustments, being transparent with yourself and authentic, with yourself, like she said, having that honesty is always going to be the best, key. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you're not going to be honest with others, right? And so, you're not even going to be able to trust, what they say, if you can't trust yourself, you don't trust others, right? So that's pretty much, the projection, that a lot of us face, when we're battling the certain things that we're going through inside, we're basically projecting those issues onto others. And so, being aware, being cognizant, of how we're showing up, like I mentioned before, pretty much gives us that ability to be more mindful, right? And be more thoughtful, right? And how we're interacting and showing up with others and being able to give the grace that comes with that because, we want grace and, we have to be able to extend that same amount of grace. And that just comes with understanding ourselves so that we can understand others.
Love that. Our next question is something that I struggle with. Maybe I can learn from you ladies. Um, can you build a successful brand even when your life feels like a hot mess behind the scenes, like what you just said? But where is the line between authenticity and overexposure? Like, what do you share and what do you protect? Who wants to tap into that one first?
Off mute. Oh,
I can
yeah.
hear you.
Okay. For to tap into that, it really, you have to be honest with yourself, because you can ask that question to many people, but first you have to, align it to what it looks like for you. So I could say something and tell you what, how I could see it as a perspective, but it would be better to understand where you at behind the scenes to, see how that aligns with, can you work in that capacity of mess when you're going behind the scenes. And sometimes it's best to work in silence. Sometimes you don't. I'm old school, so me personally, I feel like it's not it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you can know a few amount of people and get tremendous works done. So it doesn't mean you have to know, be like this big celebrity and still be empty. So it's all about your own fulfillment and what your desires are, and what you want to do as your goals to make it. So what you may look at it from one point, I might see it differently in the glass. So it's just really how you feel at the end of the day and what you want to perceive. But then if you're a visionary like me, I'm gonna help you see whatever you're seeing, I'm gonna see it, and then we're gonna bring light to it. So everything just kind of aligns. So it just depends on how you feel when you work in mess. Can you really work in mess? And if
Mhm.
that isn't a thing, then how do you get yourself kind of move back, step back, take a step back, and
Mhm.
look at it, and so you can reevaluate and readjust so you
Mhm.
can work better. So sometimes you have to have clear mind. It just depends on how how you feel. But as a visionary, I want to understand you first before I can like really, dig and answer that question for you. So,
So, do you, since we're all on social media, is there
mhm.
like a limit on what you will put out there? I mean, I know y'all were saying like be more authentic when you're, branding your business, talking, people want to see all of you, a lot of you, so they can relate more. But are there certain things that you hold back on, or do you just let it go and let people really see everything that you're going through?
It depends on your audience. What are
Mhm.
you trying to attract? What what do you want people to see and what you don't? You control that.
Mhm.
So it's not about what people think, it's about what you think at the end of the day. What do you want to share? What are you willing to share? So again, it goes back to honesty. Whatever you feel that's comfortable to share, you can share. And if you're more vulnerable to be sharing, just be careful like what you so much you put out there, just be prepared for what will come with it. So it just really determines your space, how much boundaries you're willing to, put, out there. So it just really depends on people, because I'm more of a private person. I could still move around and do things and love, just meeting people behind the scenes and getting a
Yeah.
lot of behind the scenes. So some people work, they love being seen, that's fine
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
but whatever works for you,
Mhm.
so whatever you would like to share it. But if you
Mhm.
don't feel and you're thinking about it, like, no, I'm gonna leave that alone, but let it let it resonate with you, how you feel, not how you want people to like, oh, because you can't please everybody.
That's true.
So please yourself
Please
first,
yourself first.
whatever you feel comfortable with, think about it. And if you feel like this is the right move, do it. If it's not, move
Don't
on
do
to
it.
the
Love it. What
Yeah,
about
if
you, Mrs.
I'm,
Diaz?
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
No, go ahead.
thank you. I wanted to address Miss Patterson. You hit the nail on the head with it, as far as business and being on social media and all these things. It's about your audience.
Yeah.
My audience, the people I'm trying to reach are people that are hurting, they're suffering, they're in despair. Um, they connect with me when I am real. I mean, I could be like this with the makeup and the hair and stuff and be talking to them and they understand that, but they might also see me with messy hair laying in bed because I got a migraine, but I'm like, I got you. I'm here with you. Like I'm in the trenches with you, or I have been there where you have been, so, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes that connection that then
Mm-hmm.
builds a trusting relationship. So then they're hearing me when I look more like this, and they see that I'm not just another one of these people that's standing in the pretty suit there saying, "Oh, follow me and I will
Uh,
heal everything about you in your past."
yeah.
No, they know because they have seen me crying. They have seen me struggling with like trying to figure out something, but I do appreciate what you said. There are some things, I think everybody has those things that are sacred. And
Right.
for example, for me, the one place I will not go, my son, my nephews, my family, they didn't ask for this. Honestly, I had no idea the books were going to take off and that this was going to be a thing either. I was actually very private and I like nobody knowing who I am and what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
I'm out there now and there's no avoiding it. But I will not put my family out there. You will
Mhm.
very minimally, you will see my husband because he's on the ride with me and he's happy to be and he doesn't mind it, but my son doesn't need to be a part of this. My little nephews, they don't need to be a part of this. My siblings, you know what I mean? So that's my sacred. That's what I keep for myself. I am glad to be that person, the sacrificial lamb, so to speak, and be there for everybody, but I'm not throwing everybody in that mud pit with me. So that's where I personally draw the line. If it feels right, if it ever resonates and somebody wants to be more involved in Dana Diaz world, that's fine. I will welcome them in and I will be glad for that. But until they choose this, no, that gets to be just mine.
Got it. That makes a whole lot of sense. What about you, Miss Christian? Kristen?
I think I agree. I definitely agree. You're entitled to your privacy and how much you share. For me, sometimes it's spiritual tug of war because sometimes God is tugging on your heart a little bit to share because there may be someone who needs
Right.
to hear what you're going through. But I also feel like choosing your words wisely is key too, because you don't have to share every single little
Detail, yeah.
detail. There's a way to preface it so that you're still sharing it, but it's not invasive, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes you struggle with it because that little voice that you hear, if
Yes.
you're in tune with him, you're kind of like, man, okay, God, I hear you. Because you're going to keep hearing it through other people. You're going to hear it in the back of
Mm-hmm.
your mind. And so sometimes you're just like, okay, it's kind of like as entrepreneurs, when we take risk, it's kind of like, man, I got to just put it
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll put something out there that I'm thinking like, oh my God, somebody, whatever. Or it's something that I'm not even going to think about, that I'm not even thinking too much about. And that's the one thing that somebody hears. And I was like, oh, I forgot I even said
Mm.
that or I shared that. But they'll message me. I just found some messages because for some reason, if someone doesn't follow you or maybe they're not interacting with your posts, if they message you, it's been going to spam.
Oh, yeah, that's been happening to me.
Yeah, and so I'm finding stuff from like months ago that women have sent me like,
Yeah.
hey, and I'm just like, oh my God, I didn't know. Like, but that was from me just sharing. So I think everybody said it. You have to just pick your battles. But I mean, if God is really tugging on you and like I'm
Yeah.
pulling you, I'm pushing you, I'm making you pivot, I'm making you maybe I closed down my business last year for a couple months because we were looking for a new location.
Mm.
And so in my head, I'm like, man, we're going to lose clients. We're going to lose clients. We don't have a spot. But God does what he does. And, we shared it and somebody helped us find a building that we didn't even know about because
Wow.
we were just riding around and the guy's like, hey, over here, are you guys looking for something? And we're like, yeah, we're looking for something. But we didn't think anything was in that area. He's like, hey, I want to show you something.
Mm.
And so we literally walked in, my husband and I were like, this is it. He said, I have 6 people in front of you. Their applications are in. We're like, okay, well, we want to put ours in. And so he called me like the next day. He's like, it's yours. So
Wow.
God does what he does.
He
So
did.
we
That's
hadn't
true.
shared, because it's embarrassing,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of like a setback for me. And I'm like, I feel so embarrassed because we don't have a spot.
Yeah,
So
that's the thing, the embarrassment
yeah,
part.
yeah, the embarrassment part, but it just turned out to be a blessing. So I think sometimes we just gotta like go off of that gut feeling
Mm,
and just make sure that we are choosing, our words wisely. We don't have to say everything. I didn't have to say like I may not have all the money, I may not have the deposit, I may not have all this, but this is where we are right now. So, I didn't have to share all the details,
right.
but it happened. And so, sometimes blessings come from sharing.
That's true. Congratulations to your space too.
Thank you.
Ms. Broadus, did you want to speak on this before we move on to the next thing?
Yeah, I would just real quick was just going to chime in and say, everybody's using social media for different things, obviously, and I think that it really just depends on, your personality. There's a lot of people who want to be in the limelight. They want to be influencers. They want to be in that space, and so, if that's what you're looking to curate, then obviously you do that. But as a professional, sometimes you're not being an influencer, you're an educator, right?
Right.
And so you're
Yeah.
educating and you're informing and things of that nature, and it looks different, being online in that capacity. So I think you just have to find your lane, what's best for you, how you want to show up, what makes you the most authentic and comfortable. I mean, because that's
Right.
pretty much what it is, feeling
Yeah.
comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Projecting yourself in front of millions of people. You don't know who's going to see your video,
True.
or, whatever you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So, I feel authenticity is key, obviously. But just knowing, how do you want to show up online? And I have to have those questions. I mean, those types of conversations with my clients all the time because that's what everybody's trying to figure out. How
Right.
do they show up online? You know what I mean? And
That's
still
good.
be a professional, but still be their authentic self, you
Right.
know? So that's it. That's all I got to say.
Okay. All right. So we'll move into the last question of the day. When men lead with chaos, it's seen as they're being creative. When women do it, it's seen as unstable. Why is there still so much pressure for us to be polished while building publicly? And how do you personally balance softness, ambition, and messy humanity at the same time? Who wants to go with
Uh,
that?
I think I can relate to this question because my husband is an entrepreneur as well. We work together. And yeah, so he's more like, I'm gonna jump out of the plane with no parachute. And I'm like, hey, hold on, we need the parachute and now we
Right,
need the
right.
plan. So, he shows up and he says he curses, he does his thing, and y'all, his page is growing like crazy. He has
Same with my husband.
all the followers. And I'm over here like, oh, your makeup not done, or oh, you don't have, I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, so I struggle with this. So I'm interested to see what you all have to say. But I mean, I just feel like, well, I mean, women, we critique every single thing. We're always thinking about our eyelashes, our eyebrows, our
yes.
this, our nail. Don't put the camera in my face. I'm not ready.
Wrong angle.
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle for me. So I'm just sharing that because I'm just being transparent because I do struggle with this. And I feel like the world just puts a lot of pressure on women. From all of the women who are getting like surgery, nothing's wrong with that,
Yeah,
whatever makes you, you feel comfortable.
right.
But it's like there's so many standards for us to live up to. And men, they can just wake up and wash their face, put their clothes on, and show up.
Right.
And we can, change our appearance like crazy. So, you know, I think it's so many options, so many options, and people expect us to look a certain way, be a certain way. And, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. So I just wanted to go first so I can get that.
Oh, girl, I got plenty to say on this. I
Let's
talk
hear it.
about gender roles all the time because I am done with that crap. Let me tell you, I am so done with it. And this stems back to I'm Gen X, and I feel like baby boomers and older, there's just something about women are always going to be seen as the weaker gender. And God forbid you're half Hispanic like me, or that you're a different race, a different religion, a different, political affiliation. If you are anything but what society says you should be, then they are looking for something to be wrong with you, because you can't be successful. You can't be intelligent. You can't have a strong mind. You can't have opinions because you're a little woman. And believe me, I get this a lot. I'm going to be 50 in a couple months, and people, I just had this discussion with my husband this morning. I said, it's interesting because I do look younger than I am. And people treat me like, oh, you're young. You don't know anything. You don't need to pipe up. You don't have a voice. You shouldn't be talking. Let me tell you something. I don't care how little, and I'm little too. I don't care how little I am. I don't care how old I am, how young I am. I have value, and what I have to say deserves to be heard because somebody needs to hear it. And every one of us that's here has value and deserves to have their voice heard. And so I am so over this gender crap, because at the end of the day, we are all human. We are all human. The end. Why can't we just love each other? I mean, I mic drop right there. Let's just
Mic drop. All right. Miss Patterson.
It tickled me. Well, men are visual. A lot of men are visual. So, and then we're more nurture, so it just, I know I took, like classes on social and everything. They talk about, women have always, like, when you look at commercials and stuff, we've always been exploited as like a sex symbol, type of aspects per se for years. But overall, I just think, we can be in the same spaces as men, and I don't think it's equal, but it's all how you stand for yourself. At the end of the day, I just protect my peace. So I'm just like, I've been through all these different phases. So the things that, where you may be at may look totally different for me. Like I can, sometimes we have a lot of challenges, but we have to figure out, like, if I can't fix that, I need to move around it. So just, men in general, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things, but we have to just think about like people's mindsets now, like overall. Like if you look at some of the young ladies now and some of the young men now, it's like we need to grab some type of change, because it's like we're losing a lot of people to different things, just like mental health alone, and not to per se like other identity issues and everything else that goes with it. So I don't really try to focus on too much of the gender roles or gender things. I just look at the people and like what we're doing in a society basis and like what we could do to make changes. Like I'm a person that likes to be impactful, make change, and not just talk about it, like just to execute on stuff. So it's kind of it's easy to be mean. It's easy to be bad or do, get into little things that could be negative, and it's harder to walk a more positive life. And then you'll see people get more attracted to if you're acting like a clown. So it's really how you want to proceed. So, because I see women acting like clowns too on social media, but it's just how you want to pursue like what your image is and who you are. I mean, so if you see somebody with 200 million followers, like, what are they doing? Like, and do you want that for yourself? Like, everybody has to set their own tone, their own pace, and what may look like, 2 million here, your 2K, could be doing wonders for you. So it's really not about with me, it's not about the quantity, it's really about quality, of every individual person. So that's my take on everything. Just quantity is, everybody looks at quantity like, oh, we got to have high numbers, but you could have 3 people and make a big impact, and you can have 100,000 people chattering and not do anything. So me, I'm an impactful person. So I just think quality means everything, whether you're male or female. You just got to align with the right people and learn to, people that's not going to fit in your space. And, just move on. Because like I said, you can't make everybody happy. So you just really got to do what fits in your space. And I'm at a place where I protect my peace. So I don't, have a lot of patience for certain things. And I like to just work with people and do the right thing and, call it a day, whether you're man, black, woman, white, purple, green, whatever it looks like. But I get what you guys are saying, how things look. But sometimes what what we see on social media is fake too, and it's not really authentic. So that's why I really don't. I'm getting into back into it, but it's just so not authentic. And like I like realness.
Me
So
too.
you have to, and it's hard to differ. You got a lot of AI tools that you like, okay, I was like, I know this can't be real. It's like, so even beyond men and women, we gotta differentiate what's real. So that's important just to understand what looks real, what's real and what's not real is important, whether it's man, boy, child, girl, woman, whoever.
Mhm.
We just have to understand what's real. And that's like the really important thing, just real. Because there's a lot of fakeness out here. You can have 200 million people and be sad, on crack, and lonely, and you could have 3 followers and be high energetic, traveling and just enjoying life to the fullest. So it's really the space you really want to be in. Honestly, it's just what you have to make it. So we're going to experience ups and downs. Nothing's perfect, but you take those challenges and you turn them into something positive. That's the important thing, is learning from your trials and errors, whoever it may be with.
That's most definitely life. Miss Broadus, did you have anything to say towards that?
We were talking about the men and the women, right? I know
Yes,
we
ma'am.
kind of there was a lot of different conversation interwoven in there, but
Yeah.
I just think also it's all because the difference here is that we've evolved so much over the last 40, 50 years, when women are just now getting rights. And that's a big evolution for a lot of us to, understand. And so while mentally a lot of us are, feminists and we can do it and we're strong and da 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 da, we still need men for some things,
True.
There's some women that still need men for some things, and so it confuses them, right? Because they're just like used to us needing them for everything. Back in the day, we couldn't do anything without them. We couldn't even get a checkbook. I mean, a checking account, right?
Right, right.
So I feel like there's such a different we're all on different spectrums in our feminism, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? That men
Right.
don't know, they don't know who they're dealing with at the end of the day, what type of, woman. But then on top of it, as entrepreneurs, that's a masculine trait, to be an entrepreneur, supposedly, because women are supposed to be going out here and making things happen and, being assertive and, closing deals. Like, that's not what women do. We're supposed to be, in the back taking care of the kids and cooking and, cleaning, So there's a lot of different things that we don't understand about what people consider masculine and feminine traits. And that plays a part into, that as well. So, real, like Shelva was saying, but also like, having an understanding there. I think that there's a lot of confusion, going on as well, which enables us, it makes it hard to connect, right? When we're operating in a confused or ignorant state, because, we're all showing up in different capacities based on the information and the knowledge that we have.
Okay. Before we get out of here, I would like for each of you to give some advice to the next woman or the next, maybe a younger woman that's trying to find her place in business and in life. But a lot of times we want to step out in business and we don't know. We feel like we have to dress the part, we have to look a certain way to be accepted in certain rooms. What advice could you give to a young lady that's wanting to get out there, but want to make sure she's looking up, feel confident when she's going out there? Because, society makes us feel like we have to look a certain way in order to go in these rooms.
Do you want me to go first? We'll
Okay.
go in order again. I think just know your value. Know that whether you're dressed to the nines and have your heels on and your makeup and your hair, or you're in jeans and a t-shirt because you have a migraine that day, it's your mind that brings value. It's what you are offering that brings that value. And as long as you express that and assert that and show that, you will always win. People will overlook the stuff, the facade. But whatever it is that's in your heart, do it. I don't care if you're 70 years old and you think, oh no, it's too late for me. It's too, I know you're talking to young women, but I don't care at what stage in life, I don't care what your circumstances, financially or otherwise, go for it. Go for it. And I always use the example of Walt Disney, who went bankrupt how many times, who nobody would get, over 100 banks denied him funds for his dream with this mouse and a castle and all that. Look where Disney, the corporation, is today. Whether you like it or not, they make a lot of money, and everybody around the world it is a global brand because he did not give up. So
Right.
whatever's in your heart, do it. Go for it. Figure it out. There will be people, whoever said it earlier, something about divine intervention. I have had it happen in my life multiple times where I thought there's no way, I have no resources, and somebody just shows up and stuff magically happens in the way that, I couldn't have even imagined would ever occur for me. So just believe in yourself and go do it.
I love that. Miss Patterson.
I would have to say to any woman that wants to get into entrepreneurship and is worried about image is to first just know that you can't please everybody no matter what, and know that when you get into any whatever room or whatever stage or whatever environment that you're in, just know that you go in confidence. Any move you make, just set a foundation. And if you're scared, that's okay. Just take one step at a time, set your goals, create your plans, and think about what your vision looks like for you and no one else. So the thing is going to make you happy and what is going to make you fulfill, because you can't fulfill nobody until you fulfill yourself first. So make sure anything you do, you're planting your own seed first, and then allow things to align for you, in your space. So it's not about the people, how they look at you, because everybody's going to look at you differently. You can have different avenues, different ways, different rooms, and everybody could probably say something different about you. But what matters at the end of the day is how you show up for yourself and the example you put out there, no matter how it may resonate or not resonate with someone. Just make sure you're being honest with yourself and whatever you do, and set goals and set a solid foundation.
I love that answer. I guess we'll go ahead and close it on out. If you ladies can give out your social media handles where people could find you and your business. Whoever wants to go first.
Sure. We'll just keep going in order.
Okay.
I would recommend everybody go to my website. You can get all my social media links and my blog and my books, all the stuff there. DanaEsDiaz.com, DanaSdiaz.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can reach me also by website, which is divinelifeconnections.org. And all my social media and other things are available online as well. And thank you for having us in this space today. I enjoyed every one of you ladies. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. All right, so we'll close it out. This is why we host these round tables, so we can hold power, peace, pain, and purpose at the same time. So whether you're in your soft girl era or your get it done with tears in your eyes season, your story still has value. So thank you for being a part of the Boss Woman Network podcast roundtable discussion today. And until next time, bye.
Everybody be blessed. Bye, ladies.
Be
Have a good
blessed.
week. All
You
right.
too. Bye.